Welcome to all the Libra rising signs of the zodiac to your horoscope for the month of November. It's a loaded month with the planets in transits, aspects, lunations, grand water trines. It's going to be an extra long video. Enjoy your horoscope for November through the lens of astrology, Libra rising signs. Let's jump straight to it. Your chart ruler Venus has been cruising through your natal first house of self. So, with Venus in our first house, we feel very much in our skins, in control. We're loving on ourselves. We're tuning into our bodies and setting the stage to begin new starts in the natal first house of self and beginnings. So, something really ripe could be brewing or it's very personal to you when Venus is in your natal first house, when you're focusing on your agenda and your own plans and nutting things out when Venus is in the natal first house. But quickly, this month on the 6th, ingresses into your natal second house, being Scorpio, and then we'll be moving into your natal third house on the 30th of November into Sagittarius. So your chart ruler Venus is at top speed in the solar system, so it can feel like a very chaotic, very sporadic month of November. So hold on to your sanity. Keep as cool, calm, and collected as you can with Venus really stirring things up in the solar system and having a few conjunctions and oppositions and squares. A lively month. Let's get to it. On the 4th, your local community, your domestic life connected to siblings, extended family members, even education and communication is going to get very lively from the 4th of November with Mars transiting in Sagittarius. This is all about exploration, traveling, learning, mentoring, teaching, moving, expansion. Your natal third house of siblings, travel, and education is going to get very busy, especially with communication and lots of dialogue. Very lively, but a good one at that, with Mars in Sagittarius, showing you the door, if you will, on your local haunts and where you can benefit from learning and developing knowledge through experience in the community. Quite nice with Mars in Sagittarius in your natal third house from the 4th of November until December 15. We also have Mercury co-present. Poor Mercury's in detriment, finding it hard to, do I really feel like I need to stretch myself so far? So Mercury can have us thinking we need to go the extra distance when it comes to topics and subjects connecting to travel, learning, education, siblings, and your environment. So heads up there. On the 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus and Mars is sextiling Pluto. Really punchy day. What I'm getting here archetypally for the Libra rising signs is a quiet moment of, oh, I can see advancement, I can see maturity coming in and potential for growth when it comes to other people in your life. So you're observing people leveling up or upping the ante that makes you feel, oh, we're going in a new direction. So the 5th of November is quite pleasant with Mars sextile Pluto and a full moon exalted in Taurus at 13 degrees. Okay, now we get some action going, and this is where it gets really busy in the month of November. Your chart ruler Venus is now moving into your natal second house of Scorpio until the 30th of November. So from the 6th to the 30th of November, chart ruler Venus is in Scorpio, focusing in on skill building, developing resources, possessions, and assets. Your values are really going to be quite near and dear to your heart when Venus is in the natal second house. And the sun is also in the natal second house, really illuminating what is stable, secure, and foundational for you. And now you're going, well, I'm ready to extend my financial and experience portfolio when Venus is in the second house from the 6th to November 30. So Venus is at top speed in the solar system. So I like to think of this transit for you as a Libra rising sign as you're fueled up with direction. You know exactly where you want to go and what you want to do because Venus has been really giving you a lot of tuning into your sense of values, your direction, what you want to start, what you want to initiate, what's good for you, what fills your cups. And when Venus moves into the natal second house, you're executing your well laid plans. So you're really getting into the minutiae details regarding your financials and things that give you value with this transit. And with Venus being in detriment through traditional astrology, it means that you're working harder, even though it can feel like you're a little uneasy about extending your reach and moving into new experiences. But with that, you get an opportunity to get uncomfortable and know that you need to have some uncomfortable experiences to shift you in a different direction. So you're all up for it, and it's just going to be a bit challenging when Venus is in her detriment sign of Scorpio. You can handle it, but it can feel like you are going the extra mile to establish skills and resources and things that support you. So, not particularly easy going transit, but you do at the very least get to just sit with being a little uncomfortable and knowing that you're on a journey to establish something for yourself that can give you more tools. So you're developing a muscle here with your chart ruler Venus in the second house of Scorpio from the 6th to November 30. On the 7th, your chart ruler Venus squares off with Pluto. This is a dynamic square indeed, but your chart ruler Venus is in a superior square, which means that you really do have a voice at the table when it comes to how things are going to unfold regarding transforming your relationships with your children, if applicable to you, leisure and recreational directions. Pretty punchy day when you are laying down the law of the land on the 7th with Venus square Pluto. And we now have retrograde Uranus in Gemini retrograding out of your natal ninth house and going back into Taurus, into your natal eighth house. So, not your first rodeo with Uranus in Taurus, because Uranus has been in Taurus for over 6 years and is going back for one last peruse, if you will, in your house of transformation and other people's resources. Very interesting with Uranus back in Taurus. So officially, Uranus will station direct in Taurus on February 3rd, 2026 at 27 degrees. It won't ingress back into Gemini, your natal ninth house, until April 25th, 2026, where Uranus will stay put to 2032. Okay. So with Uranus back in the natal eighth house of transformation and other people's resources, this can be like going back into an old story and trying to roll with the punches with ups and downs regarding changes and challenges that other people's resources that have an interest with you are going through a flux. And the natal eighth house of transformation it feels like archetypally with Uranus going back in the eighth house of transformation that Uranus is really laying it on thick, if you will, for you to get you out of a funk or help you alleviate or move away from other people's resources or being so supportive of other people. And that provides an opportunity for you to transform how you individuate and separate yourself from others and not feel so anchored. So, quite a dynamic transit with Uranus filtering in the background in Taurus in your natal eighth house. So, think of this transit archetypally and philosophically like other people's resources and resources that you provide to other people need to be realigned. And that means lots of discussion, possible discrepancies that need to be navigated that can be quite challenging and nuanced. But Uranus gives you an opportunity to transform an old way of interacting with others or how you support others. So it's filtering in the background, but Uranus's wisdom archetypally is to create more freedom and liberation. And Uranus is the awakener where we start to see the forest for the trees, if we will, um, in regards to how we are coping. How is our body responding in kind to depending on other people's resources or supporting people with resources? And something's trying to move into a different direction here. And that's what Uranus is going to give you an opportunity to maybe get out of Dodge or settle something down in regards to how you help people with your resources or control resources for others. Very, very lively transit of Uranus in Taurus filtering in the background because he's an outer planet, a slow moving planet, but there will be moments where there will be aha, awakening awareness days where you get to go, okay, that's happening now. I know that this is a change that needs to happen. So, pretty important. On the 9th, we have Mercury in Sagittarius in your natal third house begin its third and final retrograde of 2025 at 6 degrees. On the 11th, we now have Jupiter beginning its retrograde phase. And Jupiter is in your natal 10th house. And this retrograde begins at 25 degrees. And Jupiter won't station direct until next year on March 10, 2026 at 15 degrees. Okay, so this deserves a little bit more attention because Jupiter's been transiting in your natal 10th house. And that's right at the top of your natal chart. It's an angular part of your natal chart, really important. So the 10th house is about our ambitions, what we are driven towards, what we seek, like goals. The 10th house, where we get all ambitious. So we go, this is what we want. This is what we want to shoot for the stars. It's to do with your career, authority figures, and it is public facing roles and your professional industry. That is the natal 10th house. And Jupiter's exalted in Cancer. So, really nice placement for Jupiter to be in the moon sign of rulership where he's feeling pretty damn Jupiterian, pretty ripe for transforming your natal 10th house. Lots of room to expand and extend your reach in a public facing role or with your public identity. So, Jupiter now retrograding. I like to think of Jupiter retrograde in Cancer as recovering more structure and order and streamlining and recorrecting pivots that help us set something in stone that fulfills our needs, our emotional needs when it comes to our ambitions, our career trajectory, authority over ourselves, and our public facing roles. So when Jupiter goes into a retrograde, We're reestablishing our heart's desire here, how we show up in a public capacity, and really getting into the meat and bones of what fills our cups when it comes to our ambitions and authority in our own life. So, quite a powerful retrograde with Jupiter in the 10th, that angular part of your natal chart. So, Jupiter being exalted, then for you as a Libra rising sign, this is a really good transit because Jupiter's being exalted in your 10th house only happens every 12 years. So you get to gauge in on, oh, what's my life directions? What do I want to be known for? What am I an advocate for? What really does fill my heart and soul? What do I want to expand into? What knowledge do I want to establish? What do I want to learn? Where do I want to travel? Where do I want to go? And how is that serving you when it comes to really wanting to extend yourself? How is your body responding in kind to all of the attention that you may be getting with Jupiter in the 10th house? Or how do you feel about competition in your workplace or your professional industry in your career? Because Jupiter really can signify that you're in an arena, if you will, in a public capacity where there are big dogs and people to maneuver and duck and weave around. But at the same time, you're learning tools, you're learning how to run with the crowd or even advance in your industry by knocking shoulders with some big dogs that can give you some tools to help you level up and up the ante. So quite a powerful transit with Jupiter in the 10th being Cancer. On the 10th, retrograde Mercury conjuncts Mars in Sagittarius in your natal third house at 6 degrees. Yeah, this is really good for recovering inspiration and dropping into intellectualizing about potentials regarding advancement within your community, siblings, travel, or education on the 12th. So have your ears and eyes peeled for opportunities to inspire you. On the 17th, we are having our first grand water trine of the month of November. We have the Sun trine retrograde Jupiter, Jupiter trine retrograde Saturn. And whilst this gorgeous grand water trine is filtering, in the background, we have Pluto sextile retrograde Mercury. What a great day to recover inspiration on our life direction. Tuning into our psychic selves. On the 17th, you have an opportunity to really feel out what people, places, and things can take you the distance. And who do you knock shoulders with that benefits you? Really nice day for communication, going with the flow, and having an eye for people that really do feel like they're on Team Libra Risings. Beautiful day on the 17th. On the 18th, retrograde Mercury in Sagittarius begins its retrograde back into Scorpio, into your natal second house, joining your chart ruler Venus and the Sun. Mercury will officially station to go direct at the end of the month. Okay, with Mercury now joining your chart ruler Venus and the Sun in your natal second house of Scorpio, Mercury really does give you an eye for opportunity regarding extending on your skills and resources, nutting out your financials, and asking you, what do you love and value? What is it about growing and extending yourself further that really does serve you? Mercury really lays it on thick in Scorpio and asks the hard questions. What do you want, Libra rising sign? Where do you want to go? What do you want to expand on when it comes to your values and your resources and your finances? Mercury says, well, let's talk about educating ourselves, communicating more, maybe learning more through travel and moving out of a secret way of maneuvering and doing things on our own. We need to connect with people. So Mercury really does help your natal second house when it gets back into Scorpio with your chart ruler Venus and the Sun on the 18th. So I would be working with planets in transit, with archetypally with Mercury going back into Scorpio into your natal second house. It's recovering information and conversations, maybe even finding old paperwork like paper trailing that really helps you in capitalizing on advancing yourself in a financial or skill building way. Really nice. On the 21st, we have a new moon in fall in Scorpio at 28 degrees with retrograde Mercury, Kazemi, which means Mercury is in the heart of the sun. So, this is your natal second house, which we talked about extensively because your chart ruler Venus is here. And it's about your skills and resources, your assets and your possessions, and your values and what you want to build and extend on. So with a new moon where the moon's in fall going, oh, I don't really want to do this. It's about doing the necessary evil. It's a bit of a bittersweet beginning, but we've got to do what we've got to do to advance. And with retrograde Mercury in the heart of the sun in the Kazemi, I think it's go time here, even though we may not feel completely ready and have all the tools in our toolbox at the moment on the 21st with a new moon in your natal second house. Then the Sun will oppose retrograde Uranus and also trine retrograde Neptune. So the Sun is really important on the 21st, which is our life force and the spirit of life. The Sun is our purpose. So when the Sun is opposed to retrograde Uranus, it's simply a day of being a little bit nervous and not completely confident, but we've got to be prepared to shift and change. And the change is here, whether we like it or not. And it can feel a little chaotic when the sun opposes retrograde Uranus. But the trine to retrograde Neptune is good for recovering the path to dissolving distraction and things that we know are fair weather and not really serving us when it comes to our heart's desire. So quite interesting when the sun opposes retrograde Uranus and trines retrograde Neptune. Then the sun will move into Sagittarius, into your natal third house, joining Mars for 4 weeks. So there's movement now within the community or with siblings, travel, or education. There's lots of activity going on in and around your environment, and it's very lively with the Sun and Mars in your natal third house of Sagittarius. Think travel, learning, interacting with different people, places, and things, different cultures, learning about different concepts, really sinking your teeth into immersing and connecting with people. With the Sun and Mars and Sagittarius, it's very lively, it's optimistic, it's dynamic. So for 4 weeks, I think that natal third house is getting a bit of an upgrade for you, which means that there's a lot of potential to have a laugh and enjoy your environment, and especially connections with siblings. Commuting and traveling and communication gets really lively and quite fun with the Sun and Mars in Sagittarius. On the 25th, your chart ruler Venus conjuncts retrograde Mercury. Beautiful. This is all about inspiration to go forward. This can be a phone call, email, or a travel itinerary or a plan getting set into action mode when your chart ruler Venus conjuncts retrograde Mercury. It's go time from the 25th. On the 26th, we have our second grand water trine of November. Beautiful. Venus is trining retrograde Jupiter. Jupiter retrogrades trining retrograde Saturn. And then Saturn goes direct. Yeah, feels like archetypally this trine and Saturn stationing direct that you're ready to commit and advance towards something you love and value regarding your sense of direction. and you're really planting and immersing yourself into an experience quite organically on the 26th with the grand water trine and Saturn stationing direct. So you certainly are sold now and have a firm understanding of what disciplines you need to integrate to reach your goals and ambitions. Beautiful day on the 26th. It's like you're sold. You're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And I think something was in that retrograde Mercury conjunct your chart ruler the day before. On the 27th, Venus opposes retrograde Uranus and Mercury stations direct at 20 degrees. Okay, Venus, your chart ruler opposing retrograde Uranus. Yeah, feeling a little contentious. So you might find yourself feeling a little bit extra and wanting to distance yourself from distraction or integrating or being too involved with others on the 27th. It's like you need to run your own race and you may need to feel, oh, not may need to feel, you may feel the need with this archetypal opposition with Venus to retrograde Uranus that you really don't want any other distractions or curveballs. So you're sort of holding firm boundaries here on the 27th with Venus opposed retrograde Uranus. With Mercury going direct now in your second house, this is really good for understanding your direction, your trajectory. So, really immersing yourself into new horizons and new experiences that are going to help you develop tools to put in your toolbox and fill you up with a sense of security. Really nice with Mercury now direct. On the 30th, chart ruler Venus trines retrograde Neptune. Really nice for just tuning into your intuition. So if you're feeling a little extra serendipitous, like there's lots of synchronicities going on, I wouldn't be too surprised with Venus connecting in a trine to retrograde Neptune. So you may be all up in your feels and sharp as a tack on the 30th with this trine connection to retrograde Neptune. And then your chart ruler Venus moves into Sagittarius with the Sun and Mars in your natal third house till December 24. Beautiful. Venus in Sagittarius has you seeking knowledge, opportunities to extend your reach, expand and grow. You may find yourself immersed in esotericism, religion, different cultures, wanting to travel more, wanting to experience life and seeking out adventure. And it could be to do with your community, traveling or educating yourself, or even siblings could be going through a bit of an uptick and you get to go, wow, yeah, go you. But when your chart ruler is in the natal third house, you're getting out of the second house and going, right, I know where I'm going now. So I'm going to immerse myself in environments that stimulate me. So you're seeking out stimulating experiences from the 30th of November to December 25th. Happy days. Thanks for tuning in to your monthly horoscope, Libra Rising Signs. It's a lively one. I think you're going to be really pleased at basically going, I need to up the ante with my life. And there's going to be some challenges along the way, but you're certainly setting yourself in good footing for enjoyment, expansion, and growth on what you love and value, and skill building and developing resources and assets that benefit you and your personal agenda. Really nice astrology, Libra rising signs. If you would like to work one on one with me, I can be contacted at cosmico101 at protonmail.com. Till next time, Libra rising signs, stay cosmic.